Welcome to this special keynote Q&A session. And my guest speaker for this session is Roland Cloutier, who is the Global Chief Security Officer for TikTok. It's his first time as a speaker at this event, and I'm really delighted that he's been able to join us from the States. Roland has functional and operational responsibility for cyber, information protection, data defense, operational risk, workforce protection, crisis management, and investigative security operations worldwide. What a remit, what a role. Now, I'm not going to talk about TikTok at all. I'm going to turn to Roland and ask him to introduce himself and talk a little bit about TikTok, and then I will go into the Q&A session. Roland, it's really great to have you here, and we will enjoy having an exchange with you.
Oh, looking forward to it, and thanks for having me today.
So the floor is yours, sir, to just describe a little bit about you, your life, and TikTok, and then we'll start the questions.
Sure. So not a lot to tell, I guess. My life's kind of career history has been in protecting peoples and organizations and citizens across the goal. And here at TikTok, I get to protect the last sunniest corner of the internet, as we like to say. After a year, 30 years in government and law enforcement and global protection operations, I was fortunate enough to get the position here at TikTok, where our platform serves billions, millions, hundreds of millions of citizens around the globe, and gives them a place for free expression and enjoyment. And I get to get up every morning and protect that. It's actually a wonderful thing. So, my focus here at TikTok is the #1 priority for the company, which also makes it very fortunate to be in this space, but to ensure that the trust, safety, and security of the platform for the community that uses TikTok.
That's super. What a responsibility. Now, you and I uniquely have similar backgrounds. We've both served in the military. We've both served in law enforcement intelligence. We've both worked in government and industry. Has this particular experience on your side influenced your approach to your role as CISO for TikTok?
John, I think you're right. We both come from that background, and as we were talking previously, there's this concept of being born to do something, into service, and with my fortunate training that I got through my years of service with the military and government. You get a real solid sense of how to protect things, and it doesn't matter if it's cyber, if it's anti-terrorism, or it's protecting aerospace defense. Those concepts around defense in depth, around understanding the threat horizon, and being able to really lead people to protect others. I think that's some of the core things that I've learned from my experience. I think in the advancing ways that we have to really think about the community we serve and how we protect it. A lot of my focus has been able to rely back on that thought of over the horizon threat defense, like protecting against the known unknown, right? Understanding and being able to look beyond your own environment, your own platform, your own technology, and look at the globe in general, and look at everything from geopolitical implications to criminal activity to terrorist activity, and understand what potentially could affect your community, and putting programs together to be able to protect that community.
That's super. We are very unique and very privileged to have had that sort of background, and still to be able to contribute to the national efforts in cybersecurity and cyber protection. You joined TikTok a year ago. What's been your most challenging moment so far, and how have you dealt with it?
So many challenges, so little time. Certainly, keeping an organization focused on delivering, I think, through all of the ongoing, external pressures that any organization sees, when they're involved in delivering a multinational solution. I think, honestly, in any technology space in our industry right now, we're all dealing with advanced criminals that are capable of, potentially disrupting the services you deliver. So I spend a lot of time on threat automation defense and how we think about truly commercialized criminal capabilities to attempt to impact platform. That is certainly, with so many users on our platform and continually growing across the globe, that's an area. And I think the second major area that I focus on is my partnership with our trust and security organizations, or trust and safety organizations. These are the men and women around the globe that ensure that the content is safe, that we protect our users, within their age groups, and we ensure that we deliver technology all the way down to the end user in a very safe way. And so my relationship with them and providing them intel services, security services for them to do their jobs has been extremely important in the last year.
In doing all of that, and with your past connections, are your connections the places where you keep up to date in the threat and how to counter the threat to your systems?
We actually look broadly in this space. Our threat intelligence and cyber defensive operations teams have a myriad of relationships, partnerships, services that we pay for around the globe. I think when you're on a broad-based media delivery platform that such a large community is on, you face significant threats. We partner with law enforcement and governments. For instance, in the US, you might have noticed we had an election last year that was relatively significant. So we were on, the elections task force for the State Department in DHS, as we've done in Brazil and, and focusing in Australia and other areas. Those relationships and partnerships and, in key exchanges with offices of Homeland Security around the globe, the IC or the intelligence community, those are all important. But it's also connecting with those in our industry. I mean, yes, it's a competitive space, but yes, we seek to be a continuous part of elevating the industry, which includes information sharing and partnership with others. And we find a lot of great work is accomplished there as well.
Mm-hmm. You've reflected on the number of countries you're involved with. How many people do you actually have working in the cyberspace? Because it's quite a challenge, for your very large system.
Yeah, I can't release the exact numbers, but we have hundreds. Okay. And that's including, if you think of a complex global security organization, you have engineering, so people that are embedding technology, security technologies into the platform and making those move adds and changes on a daily basis to ensure we're keeping up with the threat. You have people in understanding the threat environment and being able to process that in content, what we call content delivery, into the threat management platforms. You have risk folks that look at risk. So from policy to engineering to digital crimes, we have hundreds of people doing this work on a daily basis.
Super. Now, TikTok has come under fire for privacy and security, partly due to its links to China. And it was fairly prominent in the later months of 2020. How did you deal with these reports, and what changes have you had to make as a company?
So, like you, Colonel, I'm a practitioner. I'm a security guy, so I keep my head out of that fray. What I can tell you is that the most important parts of what this company does every day is focus on the security, privacy, and safety of all of the users on the platform. And what's funny is that the technology doesn't even operate in China. So yes, the original parent company, ByteDance, is based out of company as it's developing into a multinational, but TikTok is based out of the United States. All of our executives are here, from general counsel to the CEO office, and so on. Data only resides in the United States and Singapore, so it doesn't even reside in China.
Okay.
And encryption and security management, and all of those things we rely on to ensure the protection of the platform, the data of our users, is all managed out of a U.S.-based security group.
Okay.
So, like I said, I think the proof's in the pudding, and what we'll continue to bring to bear is the trust and transparency into our security operations through the continuing efforts of our transparency centers, and the interoperation with our fusion centers we're building, in allowing regulators, our customers, partners in government to come in and see that. And as they continue to actually look at the facts, I think those concerns will continue to go away.
Okay. When you go to bed at night, what keeps you awake sometimes?
I used to live on a farm, so I used to say the cows across the street, but I guess that doesn't count anymore.
Yeah.
I guess it's two things. It's that constant unknown. Colonel, we train hard, we fight hard. That's what we do. We know it's coming at us, or we assume what's coming at others will come at us. We put protections in place. We practice our incident response. We work with our privacy and legal experts on how we're going to handle certain things. You always worry about what's that next thing over the horizon you don't see. So that is constantly in the back of my mind. So we operate a program based on assuming we don't know everything, and we're going to have to continue to develop those capabilities, develop new muscle to be able to meet the potential threat, and develop our technologies ahead of the bad guys. And so we spend a lot of time working on those things, and we spend a lot of time educating our users, our end users on the platform, and educating the world on TikTok, and integrating into those forums that I mentioned before.
Okay. One of the dilemmas we face in cyber is that it costs an awful lot of money to protect.
So my boss already tells me.
Yeah.
Just
and
kidding.
Not a lot to attack. What do you think we can do to change the balance of that difficult equation?
Yeah, we practice a theory, what we call moving the cheese here. And so what that is based on is when we understand what the adversary is trying to do, we move that technical capability. So we remove it from the equation. So the more that we can develop our technology stack to be flexible, to move our controls around, and to move the target around, you massively increase exponentially the cost at which it takes a bad guy, because they're no different than us. They do intelligence, they do attack reconnaissance. They invest in automation to do that work with backups behind it if you change it. So if you remove that threat surface, you remove their capability. And if you do this enough based on intelligence, not on actual attacks, you can hopefully stay ahead of that at a reasonable cost using the same resources and capabilities you have.
Yeah, it's a big challenge for us all.
It is.
Artificial intelligence. I didn't discuss this with you before we went on air, but AI is playing a greater role in defensive cyber, but it's also going to be used in offensive cyber. Would you like to give your personal views on AI and how it best can be utilized in the cyber domain?
Sure. I was asked this question not too long ago in a public forum. And what's funny is whether it's AI or it's ML, machine learning capabilities, we've already seen it on the adversary side. I had an issue in recent, I'll say in recent years, where we had to put a very specific defense capability in place, quite advanced, based on some attack methodologies that were coming at us. When we put in that structure, it wasn't an hour later that they had understood the capability we put in, gone back, modeled a new threat. We saw them modeling it as they were attempting it, and then retooled automatically and relaunch their attack. As a techno geek, that was pretty impressive. However, on the defensive side, we have to be able to do that as well. So the ability not just to have preventative technology in place, but mass data collection and being able to work across that. I think we saw that a few years ago when UBA came out with, and we were looking at user analytics from an ML perspective. We see that in the network attack space today with some great startups in that area. But I think first and foremost, you have to have the visibility and transparency into your environment, and then you have to create contained threat models that you can advance through the use of ML. AI is a big word, right? And so although you see some fantastic threat defense companies out there doing it on EdNode defense and things of that nature, you don't see as much of that internally. I think organizations have an opportunity here, and the industry has an opportunity to truly increase the types of practitioners that they're hiring in their engineering and defensive modeling groups, both analysts, true analysts, as well as true ML modelers that understand the output from the analysts so they can create these threat detection models. I think that's the future of cyber, and it's certainly an area that we're investing in. Okay,
that sounds good. What are the most urgent issues faced by CISOs today, and what should they be doing to protect their organizations from attack? Now, some of the issues you've already touched on, but there's a generalization for CISOs. What advice would you give?
So I have talked on the stuff like bot activity and over the horizon threat unknowns. I think those are, people have to focus on those, right? If you don't have an intel capability, whether an outside, small, resource or part-time person inside, you're probably going to be on your back foot pretty soon. But the other areas is, in so many spaces, and it started in financial and it's moving to social and it's been in different areas, is this ATO or this account takeover attempts, right? These massive attacks that are either for criminalistic financial crimes opportunists or, broad-based attempted privacy thefts or even nation state attacks on taking over accounts and doing some sort of nefarious activity. ATO is a problem because you rely in part on the user at the other end to do the right thing. And, links were meant to click on. Not everyone's going to stop clicking on links. So how do you stop it? How do you build these protections and model with multi-factor authentication, advanced logon capabilities, in authentication, validation, all of these things that great technology companies like us are coming out with to provide to the user as part of their product. So that's number one. In our space, I think the continuing issues around coordinated inauthentic behavior, we spend an inordinate amount of time to focus on what is real and what is not and why. As you can see, more different technologies and platforms and industries are more susceptible to that. But I think people have to understand as your business is engaged deeper with the internet and the people and things of the internet, that type of behavioral aspect could become problematic, and CISOs need to focus on that. And I think the last thing is really about your global ecosystem. It used to be, it was simple. If we were in the military, we protect a base, an RO, whatever it may be. We'd go out, we'd have multiple tiered defense, a couple clicks out, few clicks out, 10 clicks out, and we had aerial dominance over it, right? Like it was, and if you were in security, for a company, you had the company, you had the premise it's on, the building, the data centers, and that's what you're protected. But the interconnected way of our economy today, how our services are supplied by other service companies, your value chain, if you take the Michael Porter value chain and look across your value chain, how many interconnects do you have into a broader ecosystem outside your organization? And understanding that and beginning the process by which you understand the risks associated with that, the controls in those environments, your ability to monitor it, your ability to do business resiliency and continuity assurance in that area, like all of those things within the greater ecosystem is a pretty big gap, I see in a lot of programs. So I think, I encourage, CISOs that I mentor to really start focusing on that, because it is a bigger lift than most people think. And it's a continuing place that we all have to prepare for.
Absolutely. You've touched on a couple of things there, which has prompted a question from the audience. And I'm going to put it to you. And it's this is from Graham, who's responsible for the IT contract in a small organization, too small to do it on its own. So we have to outsource. What can we do to ensure our suppliers are doing what they need to do and to keep our systems safe? And basically, this is the supply chain.
Yeah, this is third-party risk management, John. And so Graham, great question. I think, when you're a smaller organization and you can't afford, or, you just don't have enough contracts to do, have a full-time person focusing on it. The opportunity is service entities that look at third parties for you and provide you that review. There are several out there globally, and their work is to go out and assess third parties. They keep a warehouse, if you will, of the responses from these companies, and you can purchase it as a service. And so, whether you need 5 a year, 15, or 100 a year, you can rely on these professional organizations to provide you with a view into the control capabilities. And they can even handle asking the questions of those third parties for you. They have, professionals on staff, and they have predefined questionnaires and review resources that can do this on essentially on a pay per drink basis. And those can be very helpful.
Well, that was a great answer. And Graham, I hope you're happy with that. I've got another question from Colin. How do you stay ahead and informed on the latest and greatest advanced technology that could potentially better protect or enhance your security posture? And I think you've touched on that a little bit.
There's probably two ways. First, I work for a hell of a technology company, right? One of the things, besides protecting this last sunniest corner of the internet, I work for an amazing company that has brilliant technologists that we've hired from the best and the brightest. We acquired a UK AI company. We acquired several companies around the globe with they're just brilliant people. So internally, I'm fortunate where we have some of those resources. I think externally, the number one way I stay engaged is through the investor community. I've built relationships with investors around the globe, from the UK to the West Coast of the United States to Asia. And I spend time, I carve out probably, somewhere between 5 and 10% of my time over the year to look at new technologies, to engage with them, to review companies, to spend time researching And that's important because it keeps you ahead of the threats and understanding what technology is going to be available.
Yeah. So, to what extent do you think social networks are responsible for what happens on their platforms?
We're big believers in accountability. This is why we've opened our transparency centers, and we're inviting people in to look at our algorithms, look at our protection programs. We constantly need to strive to protect our communities and our user bases. I think it is the responsibility of organizations to have the appropriate and right level of protection around the basic necessities of that platform, around trust and safety, around cyber defensive operations, to give the platform to the users in the community to use it the way they will. What's great is at TikTok, I actually have a much smaller threat service, right? We don't have plugins to all of these different web capabilities. Our work is just done on the app. And so we don't integrate all over the place, number one. Number two, we have a very defined set of community guidelines. And so when it's like laws, when you can define the laws as a community and you can enforce those laws as a community, the community's better off and safer for it. And so, we encourage the industry to really be able to create those guidelines and those assurance, and then be able to enforce them and work towards joint safety every day.
So for my last question, what advice would you give to others looking to start or change their careers and get into cybersecurity, the biggest growth industry of today?
First, just do it. It's a negative 4% unemployment rate, I think, in cyber privacy and risk services, everyone is looking for just really qualified candidates. First, for those people that already have careers, that maybe you have, an undergraduate or a postgraduate in something else, and you're working in IT or finance or something like that. We're always looking for people that come with a different perspective. However, like being the chief of surgery at a medical center, you want the chief of surgery to be a doctor. So you really, if you're going to get into security, you need to be a practitioner. And you can do that in several ways. You can go back to university and take an advanced course in cybersecurity management, leadership, and technology. There are now different types of certificate-based programs for those of you that already have a base in education or technology and need to learn some of the specifics. I would focus on getting that core level. The second thing is try out different parts of our area, just like any other industry. We have different specialties. I mean, you have core deep technology and engineering, you have overall cyber defensive operations and platform defense management, you have risk management, you have, I could go through a list. There's probably about 26 core disciplines today in the security arena. Pick a couple and try them out. Right. And whether it's in your own organization, meaning maybe you can get a 6-month move to try out working in another area, or it's by getting a job and then potentially going and get another job a couple of years down the line, see what you like and speak. And I guess the last area is get a mentor. I mean, find a practitioner in this space, ask a lot of questions, use multiple people as guidance. And then make the jump. But remember, it is a technical job for the most part. You'll want to understand those basic concepts. But once you do, the opportunities are endless in cyber right now.
Excellent. That's really sound advice. And that really brings us to the end of our Q&A session, Roland. I'm so grateful to you for joining us, for giving us the benefit of your long experience and wisdom. I wish you all the best in your role as CISO for TikTok, and I hope that you'll join us again in the future. Thank you very much indeed.
Colonel, thank you so much. Have a pleasant day and looking forward to talking again.